Hi, my name's Tony Cervoni, and I'm the director of the movie Scoob. And I'm gonna teach you how to draw Scooby-Doo.
We're in!
Scooby-Doo is not an easy character to draw. He's got a lot of different shapes, and he's pretty complicated. So it takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of time to draw him right.
Good point.
But let me take you through the way I do it, and then you could do it your own way.
Let's Scooby-Dooby do it!
The first thing I like to do when I'm drawing Scooby-Doo is I like to start really simply and just kind of get the basic shapes down. This is just kind of a basic shape of where Scooby's head could be. And then this here kind of is his neck. So let's draw here, like this is kind of his head. This circles his head and it attaches to a neck. And then let's imagine his collar is gonna wind up being down here somewhere. And then what does Scooby-Doo have? He has a really kind of big muzzle here. So I want to kind of get that kind of drawn in. So it's kind of like two circles. This circles his head, and then this circles his muzzle where his nose is. And I like to draw this character. This is called a 3/4 perspective, which means his head is somewhere in between the front view and the profile view. I got these basic shapes down, right? So I kind of want to know where the front of everything is. So where's the front of his head, and then the front of his muzzle kind of going down the front of his neck. And so if we have the basic head, and then maybe Scooby has kind of roundish eyes, so we kind of want to put the two eyes in. That's two more circles.
It has eyes.
And then I like to know right away where his nose is. So his nose is kind of big, and it's kind of shaped like a rounded triangle, like that, right? So think of it that way. You want to draw his nose in.
Got it.
And then I like to know where his eyebrows are, and I'll tell you why. Let's put his eyebrows in. And the reason I like to know is because if you draw a circle around these eyes, the eyebrows kind of sit on top of the eyes, kind of following the curve of that circle. And then if you kind of came off it a little bit, you'll find kind of in here where the smile line is, because this is really important. This kind of relationship here, as far as where the eyes and where the smile line is in that triangle, that's really gonna anchor the perspective of his features on his face.
Whoa, awesome.
And I know this sounds kind of complicated, but just do it your own way and practice. Now, Scooby, on his smile line, there's actually two shapes. A shape that kind of comes down like this, and then another smaller shape that connects to it, right? And then kind of figure out where his smile's pretty simple, right? Just a kind of a curved line. And then Scooby's got a big bottom lip. You want to get that in there. And then he's got a chin. Scooby's chin is kind of soft. You want to kind of put that chin at the bottom somehow and drop the tongue in there. So now look what happened. I got this far, and I don't really like where his neck is, so I kind of want to push it around a little bit. You got to play around with it and feel it out a little bit. That's all right. Sometimes you go down a road and you're not so happy where a line is, but that's okay. You're going to move it, and then you're going to draw like his ears kind of pop, one on this side, one on this side, and then they kind of connect, you know, kind of in here somewhere. So that's kind of looking pretty close to Scooby-Doo. And then let's take advantage of what the tablet could do, because what I like to do is I get these basic things down, and then I like to take this, what I will call the construction layer, and drop it down in opacity. What that means is make it so you could almost barely see it, right? So now you have something underneath, which we call an underdrawing, that you're able to kind of do a more refined drawing on top of. And this is something we do in animation all the time. So I'm drawing this on a tablet, but if you don't have a tablet and you're just drawing on a piece of paper, I'll do this underdrawing really, really lightly with a different color pencil, and then come in over it with the black line. So now that we have this, let me show you how we do kind of a more finished drawing. I like to start with the eyes, because the eyes are the window to the soul, so I want to know where his eyes are. And it's okay to erase, and it's okay to change things. If I could kind of start to see his eyes, now I kind of start to see Scooby, and I know where he's at. Now, one thing that I'm gonna change a little bit already is there is something called asymmetry. And what that means is things are a little more interesting when they're skewed a little bit and when the proportions are off a little bit. Sometimes we're always trying to draw things in perfect proportions, but really it's the imperfections that provide characters. And Scooby-Doo was designed by a guy named Iwo Takamoto. He designed all the Scooby characters, and when he designed Scooby-Doo, he went and got himself a book that described what a champion Great Dane looks like. And then he went and he broke all those rules when he made Scooby-Doo.
Cool.
Because he wanted Scooby-Doo to be charming and appealing, but not perfect. Scooby-Doo's not a perfect dog. He's got a lot of imperfections, and we like Scooby because of his imperfections. See how the eyebrows don't do this, right? Because that's boring. You want to make them a little asymmetrical, a little imperfect. One of Scooby's imperfections, too, is that he has, on the bridge of his nose, he has a bump, right? A champion Great Dane, they have very straight lines, but Scooby doesn't have straight lines. Scooby-Doo has a big bump on the top of his nose. And his nose is really big. And so let's rough his nose in a little bit more, maybe erase a little bit. See if you don't it's okay to erase. I like erasing, right? Big nose. You almost can't draw it too big.
Finished?
Ow! Yes.
And then there's his mouth. It's got this big kind of floppy piece of skin there. Scooby's got a soft face, and that's important. So you want to show that's kind of heavy, that weight is dragging down, right? You can feel the weight, the gravity pull those shapes down. And when we were animating Scooby-Doo in Scoob, we were really able to take those fleshy parts of his face and really animate him. So when you watch the movie, pay attention to how soft his jowls are. And when he shakes his head, you see his skin go. We were able to actually put a little bit more dog in the Scooby-Doo than is normally there. In fact, before we started animating Scooby-Doo, we brought real Great Danes in and we videotaped them and we went, hey, what are the parts on Great Danes that shake and how does a real Great Dane walk? And now Scooby isn't animated like a real Great Dane, he's a cartoon Great Dane, but you gotta know the rules before you break them. You wanna get that bottom lip and drop the tongue in there. See, now I don't like where I put that tongue, so I'm gonna get rid of it and I'm gonna do it again. That shows a little more dimension and depth. You push that tongue back inside his mouth. And I was talking before about soft parts of Scooby-Doo, and one important soft part is his chin. It's got a lot of jiggle to it. It's not a big, strong, heroic chin. He's got a soft chin because he's a soft guy.
What does he know?
So now we're gonna go in, we're gonna put the back of his head in.
Does this make my ears look big?
Scooby-Doo's ears are really important. Show a lot of his character. When Scooby is scared, his ears come down. When he's really alert, his ears could kind of come up. So we use things even like his ears to kind of help show Scooby's emotion. And another thing about Scooby is his ears are asymmetrical. So let's start with this ear first, and maybe this ear's doing that. Scooby's ears aren't straight and perfect. Like, you know, they're all kind of floppy and weird, and they make weird kind of fold in on each other in funny ways. So if this ear is gonna do that, this ear might do something completely different. Right, so there you go. That's starting to be Scooby-Doo. That's feeling pretty good. I'm all right with that. And let's draw his collar in, because his collar is really important. And that's just, neck kind of sits. One thing about his neck is, I'm gonna erase this and show you something else. I might overdraw it, over-exaggerate a little bit, but Scooby's kind of got a barrel-shaped neck, right? His neck's not straight. It's not two straight lines, because that's too parallel, and that's boring. And also, it doesn't taper perfectly either, like this, right? Scooby's neck is actually like this a little bit. He's kind of got like a neck like a sausage. And then there's his tag, and what's it got in there? It's got an S and a D. That's also really important.
My best bud.
The thing I draw last when I'm drawing Scooby-Doo is he's got 3 moles on the side of his chin. And they're kind of shaped like a triangle, and they go right there. And then Scooby has 2 hairs that come off his chin. But they're the last things I like to add to Scooby-Doo, and I always think that he kind of comes alive just by adding those things. And you could color his nose in if you want to do that, because he's got a big black nose. You can color inside of his mouth in if you want to give that a little more depth. And there you go. That's kind of how I draw Scooby-Doo. And I encourage you to draw Scooby-Doo your way. and have fun with it. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to erase, and share it. In fact, I hope I see your drawings one day. Thanks a lot, and have fun drawing.
Yes!